You're going to be receiving a cashier's check in the amount of $154,000.
They are scamming people using the telephone and tricks to talk people out of their money.
It's the power of your voice and your magnetism to get somebody to send you money. They ain't never seen you, heard of you, talked to you before.
Come with us as these telemarketers head into our office not knowing that they're being watched by hidden cameras.
It's never been done before.
Tonight, as the cameras roll, we show you how telephone scams work and who's at the other end of the line.
I'm Diane Sawyer, and this is Prime Time. Every day, often as you're sitting down to dinner, thousands of predators all around the country pick up their weapon, and it's not a gun, it's a telephone, aimed right at the life savings of the elderly and the innocent. These telephone con artists will promise you anything, big prizes and celebrations, if you just give them money. But instead, what you get is heartbreak, and it makes you wonder, who are these people and how do they do it? Tonight, Primetime will take you right into the telemarketing underground.
Hello?
It's my pleasure to inform you, sir, that your name was one of the names that was picked.
You've done it. You've been selected for the VIP royalty program.
They are out there by the tens of thousands, baiting a hook for you every day.
Your name is either on the brand new Lexus, the $10,000 you
Cashier's check
have.
in the amount of $154,000.
And every time you answer the phone, you're halfway in the trap.
$4,500, not a penny more.
They're out there to make all the money that they possibly can, and they don't care how they make
I
it.
give you my word today, as a man, everything is going to happen exactly as I say that it is.
The Department of Justice suggested that 1 in 3 Americans are now approached by some kind of a con artist every year in America, and 1 in 6 actually send money in.
That's $40 billion a year, and the wreckage of a lot of lives.
They can talk you into most anything, and do.
People like 80-year-old Ardell Schramm, who says her name got on a kind of sucker list. Telephone scammers swindled Ardell out of $100,000 with promises of winning big. But after she spent her life savings, she had nothing to show for it but a few cheap trinkets.
We're senior citizens. We were brought up in an age where we trusted everybody. Everybody was kind.
Do you think you could use a $50,000 cashier's check to straighten some things up?
On this call taped by the FBI, you can hear exactly how it works. The conman tells Ardell that she has won $50,000.
This is your first opportunity to walk away a winner.
But to claim it, she has to send him handling costs, a few $100s. Do it, he says, and she'll help her family.
This is enough money for you to go to your grave knowing that you went and did the right thing, and you can go and meet God with a clear conscience. Now, what do you want to do?
And you finally get to the place where you can't send them any more money. They're not so friendly then. That's when the abuse starts.
So now you're going to start crying again and going off on me, right?
There's nothing I can do.
Ardell is in tears. He doesn't care.
You'll never, ever be anything. You're going to your grave a loser. A big loser. I think you're terrible.
There was thoughts of suicide, which is against everything that I was ever taught. But that's what it can do to you. It takes away everything. Your pride, your health, and even your faith.
That is the lowest form of human behavior, and there's just no excuse for it.
Doug Shadell is a former investigator currently working for the American Association of Retired Persons.
It is the easiest crime to commit, because after all you need is a room and a telephone, and that's what makes it so difficult to catch them.
So that's why Primetime decided to see if we could catch some of these telephone scammers in action. In other words, con the con men. We knew that in order to do it, we would have to have some inside information on the way things really work. So 4 months ago, we set out to find a consultant. And we hired 2 past masters of the telephone con.
When I call you up,
Yeah.
will you hang up on me right away?
No, because I'm a nice girl.
Well, then you can be had. If you'll listen to me, I'll find out what you want to hear in order for me to sell you what it is I want to sell you, because you'll tell me.
That's Axe. He's a seasoned veteran of the market. So is John T.
And if I can tap into those emotions and I can find out what makes you tick, you're going to buy from me all day long.
John and Axe, who together have 25 years' experience, say you'd be surprised how readily people send in money if they think, for instance, they've won a prize.
I gave away the first space shuttle tickets for the civilian launching. And just for you, because you're special.
And if a prize doesn't work, how about selling them an investment aid?
And I'd call 100 people, and 50 of them I'd say, you watch, and 1 week from now, gold will be down. And I tell the other 50, you watch, 1 week from now, gold will be up. And depending on whether gold was up or down, that was the 50 I called back to say, see, I told you so.
And what kind of people are easiest to take?
How much does education have to do with it?
Not a whole lot.
As a matter of fact, an AARP report this last June showed that your average victim of fraud makes more money, reads a newspaper, or watches television news on a daily basis.
So it's really everybody and anybody.
You betcha.
Everybody? Including the conmen themselves? Our 2 former telemarketing stars said if Primetime was willing to set up an authentic-looking phone room, maybe we could lure some scammers in and catch them in action.
It's never been done before. And if we can pull this off, maybe we can show America what the telephone con artist is truly like.
So the first thing we did was fly to the hub of telemarketing, Las Vegas. There we found a building right in town perfect for our company. We parked a couple of flashy cars outside and chose a name for ourselves, Western Premium Promotions. Next, we took out an ad in Las Vegas newspapers with language that was like a neon sign for the pros.
Any other ways you go recruit them?
You go into the phone room bars. And this has never been explored before. People don't know about this.
There are bars, usually located near the phone operations, where veterans of the circuit come to drink and brag. We asked people to spread the word that we were looking for applicants. And while we were waiting, we put some equipment into the offices of Western Premium Promotions.
As you can see, the building we rented is an ordinary facility. Perfect place to invite some of our seasoned applicants for job interviews. Auditions, if you will, a chance to see what they can do. We have a few tables here, we have a few telephones, a place where John and Axe can greet them when they come in, and there's something else in this room you don't see. This entire room is covered by a series of hidden cameras.
And make no mistake about it, a business like this one can and has made fortunes.
Easily $100,000 a week.
That's about $1 million every 3 months. No wonder within days people were showing up at our door.
All right, so we're going to roll some dice here and
See what comes
happens.
up. This is a good town to do that in, too.
My mind has been just filling with lines and phrases and closing techniques because I know what I have to do.
Our little plan is underway.
I'm putting together a good room. I want only the best.
We're selling the applicants, they're selling us about their experience, their skills.
I've got checks for $20,000 on my pitch.
What are you selling them?
Hopes and dreams.
But any job applicant might brag. We had to be sure.
I'm from Missouri. You gotta show me.
We asked our applicants to get on the phone and give us their best pitch. An audition is a bit unusual, so we offered $50 plus a commission if they made a sale. And remember,
Were they told what to do?
No.
They had their own free choice on what they wanted to sell.
And I specifically told each one of them, you know that nobody's going to get anything. And they each said, yeah, I know, I don't care.
There's your leads.
we also gave them lists of phone numbers, just like the ones professionals buy from or trade with other telemarketers.
You know what to do up here to beat.
We ensured that sometimes they'd get a machine, but every now and then they'd reach what we call a sucker, they call a mooch.
Good afternoon, it's Doug in.
First up, Tony, with a mooch on the line.
Doug, this is Tony Hill calling from Western Premium Promotions out in Las Vegas.
Tony told the caller he had exciting news, but he was just making it up.
Well, Doug, it's my pleasure to inform you, sir, that your name was one of the names that was picked.
What did he mean, names that were picked? For what? Tony invented 3 prizes.
1996 Lexus, $10,000 in cash, or $5,000 in cash, number 3. Those are the 3. You're going to receive one of those. We've already determined that.
To make it seem authentic, he even talked about the big announcement.
First thing I'm going to need from you after you receive the award, either standing by the car holding up one of the cashier's checks, is a photograph of you with the award. We're going to put that in our national advertising catalog. It will be on the front cover.
Remember, a lot of this is not what you say, but it's how you say it. You see, if I get excited, then you're going to get excited too, and you're going to think this is for real, and oh my gosh, I'm a winner.
We asked John and Axe what a guy like Tony gains by offering 3 prizes or more.
You have the opportunity to spend time describing all of these wonderful gifts.
The foot in the door.
Get the foot in the door.
Okay.
With his foot in the door, Tony now lays out the scheme. You only get the prize by opening up an account.
Naturally, the owners of the company here have forced me to ask you to open up a much larger account. What they want you to invest in this campaign is $1,500. I want you to write that figure down and put a circle around it.
Now, what does that mean?
What that means is that you are a participant in this promotion. Therefore, we are able to write the award off as an advertising tool for our company that generated a new account with you.
So the company gets a tax break. But what do you get for the money?
What I'm going to send you is one of the brand new air filtration systems.
Air filtration systems?
I want you to put down environmental health package.
That's what Tony says on the phone. But off the phone to us?
But you know he's not getting an environmental package.
Well, you just... What is he going to get? Nothing, right?
Still, Tony is having a great time.
Love it.
You could even call it a mystical experience.
It's the power of your voice and your magnetism to get somebody to send you money. They ain't never seen you, heard of you, talked to you before. All that, that's what it is. It's the thrill of victory.
But we're going to have a little surprise for Tony later.
I've heard on TV about these rip-offs and so forth. This is legit, right? I mean,
The man on the other end of the phone...
Absolutely. You certainly wouldn't be hearing from me if it wasn't.
That's right, it's former investigator Doug Shadell.
My father had always told me that a man is only as good as his word. Do you feel the same way?
yeah, I do.
I give you my word today, as a man, everything is going to happen exactly as I say that it is.
I really don't see any difference between what a bank robber does and what a person like Tony did.
So we're off and running, and not just Tony. On another phone, Lewis has invented another company that gives out prizes as a form of advertising.
All right, let's put it this way. Don't be surprised that this doesn't change your financial picture for 1996 and many years to come. You've done it. You've been selected for the VIP loyalty program. Congratulations.
But what's a VIP royalty program? What is it? Lewis doesn't give details, he just gives the build-up.
Let's put it this way, Miss Fowler. If you were to walk into the major awards center today, you'd probably receive a standing ovation from our entire staff. You've done it.
But what will Lewis pretend his mooch has won? He teases with suspense.
Could you tell me what I win?
Yeah, I'll do that in a minute. Could you hold on for a minute? I need to go and get this stamped off here, okay? She's like, could you tell me what I win? She's all biting all the way.
And what is it? You still
Well,
haven't told me how much I want.
Well, you're going to be receiving a cashier's check in the amount of $154,000.
So Lewis is halfway home. He's conned a woman into believing she has a chance at big money. Another of our new applicants is luring his mooch with an appeal for a charity he's totally made up.
These are very young kids, ages 6 to 10. They're very impressionable. If you don't get them at the right age, it's going to be too late.
His name is Leon. He pretends the contribution will pay for an anti-drug campaign. It's a kit that you distribute to kids in school.
The kit contains frisbees, coloring books, pins, bumper stickers, everything with a message on it saying no to drugs. And it's only $500.
But of course, Leon knows the truth.
You know that the charity's going in my bank. Yeah. Doesn't bother me. Okay. Does not bother me at all.
Money's going in my bank.
Nor does his fraud bother Lewis.
Just want to make sure we're clear on this.
Oh, yeah, I mean, sure, yeah.
I mean, she ain't getting nothing.
I know that.
But on the phone, Lewis says the prize, the huge cashier's check, will come if the winner sends a token in return.
The $4,500, we have to legally justify to Uncle Sam and the IRS that you were a customer of ours at the time of the release of the VIP royalty prize.
So you want me to send the check for this?
Yeah, that's for $4,500, not a penny more.
I'm going to have to transfer some things out of savings.
That's no problem. You can get that.
And we can't help but notice his lack of shame.
Yes, I'm going to basically hand walk you through this just like my very own mother. That's my job. That's what I do.
Earlier, Lewis had told us that he had also been successful with another familiar con. It's called Where's the Check?
I target everyone, but where's the check, bitch? I mean, I'm a retired doctor, retired attorney. This just didn't matter.
But basically older people.
Yeah.
You're just playing on somebody being old and not remembering what happened yesterday. And the person is gullible enough to say, gee, I forgot. I'll send it out tomorrow.
So it's specifically designed for the...
Totally targeted to people who are not all there.
It's called the Alzheimer's scheme. And what happens is, in today's environment, you can purchase leads of people who have Alzheimer's disease.
Where do you get a list of people who have Alzheimer's or the beginning senility?
We live in the information age. You can buy a list of any type of demographic that you want to.
I made a lot of money on that horse check. But I shouldn't believe it or not, I've cashed checks over $10,000 for 1 week's worth of work on that.
And now, Lewis is trying to make some more money by taking the savings of another customer.
Miss Fowler, how does it feel that you finally come out on top
I can't believe I really
Well, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
I'll talk to you soon then.
Great.
Bye. $4,490.
So, 3 con men using 3 different phone schemes have just scammed a total of $6,500 for less than an hour's work, or so they thought. Lewis doesn't know that, in fact, he was calling Linda Golodner, president of the National Consumers League. Leon doesn't know that he was suckering Dana Morgan of the Dallas Better Business Bureau.
Okay. $4,490.
Leon, Lewis, and Tony celebrate their victories, at least until they report to work the following week.
Hey, Lewis, glad you decided to come. I'm Diane Sawyer, and this is Prime Time. Now, we should tell you that some of the applicants at Western Premium Promotions made it clear to us that they would not promise anything they weren't going to deliver, and we gave them a legal pitch to make, one which required no payment to collect a prize. All right, when we come back...
Lewis scrambles for an excuse.
What?
I'm working for Stephen K. out of Fort Worth, Texas.
Who's that?
He's a federal postal inspector.
You're undercover?
No, I'm not undercover, but I'm working with him.
Yeah? Well, is he going to be surprised to see you here?
Yes, yes.
And later on, Prime...
Out to see law enforcement is bearing down on one of our operators, too.
It's Monday morning and Western Premium Promotions is open for business, or so these telemarketers think. As we showed you just days earlier, these 3 men used false promises to con $6,500 out of people whom they believed were unsuspecting victims.
Well, he says, what am I getting for my money? That was his only objection. He bought a bunch of pins 3 years ago. He said, man, I didn't like it. What am I getting? I said, God, what a mooch.
There's a special place in hell for these folks because they oftentimes choose their victims very carefully.
Ohio Attorney General Betty Montgomery and her staff agreed to assist us in what we'll call a day of reckoning.
They're smart and they're predators.
Well, you might say the luck of the Irishes finally came in for you.
We wondered what kind of guys would do this. Remember, Axe and John were once there too.
How successful were you?
I was one of the best. Limousines, penthouses, that type of a lifestyle.
So why did you stop?
Stop being fun.
Axe says he was just too good at it. There was no challenge.
I stopped because I lost everything in the world, was in jail, and the only people visiting me were people from an AA meeting I started attending.
But when you look back, do you say, how could I do that to those people?
I have to accept my life as it was. My life was life in the fast lane, did a lot of drinking, a lot of partying, and I have to accept that. I've made my amends.
Back at Western Premium Promotions, Tony shows up for work looking as if he had a rough weekend. but he gets right back into the game.
Hi, Helen. This is Tony Hill calling from Western.
He thinks there's another sucker on the line.
There's 3 awards. We've already determined you've got one of the 3. Number 1 on the list is a brand new 1996 fully loaded Lexus.
A real Lexus?
Yes.
Tony offers the same pitch as before, but we reveal a little surprise.
Your offer sounds very interesting, but I did want to tell you one thing, and I think you should know. I'm Helen McMurray, and I'm chief of the Consumer Protection Section of Ohio Attorney General Betty Montgomery's office.
Well, congratulations.
Hey, Tony. Diane Sawyer.
Hi.
I'm from Primetime.
How are you?
Guess what? Western Premium Promotions is Primetime Live. How does it feel to be on the other end of a con, huh?
On the end of what?
Tony insists he was only following our orders.
They told me to do exactly what they told me to do.
No, they didn't.
Is it uncommon for them to claim, hey, I didn't know that this is what was going to happen? Sure, it happens all the time. What else were they expected to do? Stand in front of a camera and say, yeah, I knew I was defrauding the public?
I'm Diane Sawyer. I think I've got a surprise for you.
Later on, when we walk in on Leon, he knows right away he's been caught and admits he's done it before.
It's against the law, isn't it?
Usually.
How much have you taken off people this way?
I have no idea.
In fact, we checked the job histories of not only Leon, but Tony and Louis as well, and found that all 3 had worked for companies that had been in trouble with the law. The moral of the story would seem to be,
stay out of telemarketing.
If so, it's a moral that Louis hasn't grasped yet.
Primetime Live. You're going to be on TV.
As for his phone pitch...
You weren't going to send those people anything. They hadn't won anything, had they?
That's the news for you, too.
What?
Louis tells us he was on assignment.
I'm working for Stephen K. around Fort Worth, Texas.
Who's that?
He's a federal postal inspector.
You're undercover?
No, I'm not undercover, but I'm working with him.
Yeah? Well, is he going to be surprised to see you here?
Yes.
Federal Postal Inspector Stephen Caver knows Louis, but not because he was working for him. Postal inspectors had prosecuted Louis twice for telemarketing fraud.
At the time he went in working in Las Vegas, where y'all have him on camera, he had been indicted in Fort Worth, and he was aware he was indicted for conspiracy and for mail fraud.
You were quite clear to us that you like to target elderly. You told us that.
That's what I've sold in the past, yeah.
It seems Louis was caught by federal authorities for re-victimizing the victims. It's called a recovery scheme. Louis would call people who had already lost thousands to fraudulent telemarketing and tell them he was working for a law firm and could recover their money for a fee. The law firm turned out to be a mail drop, and the attorney, Miss Denise Delcamp.
Denise Delcamp is a topless dancer.
So we caught up with Louis again, this time on his way to court to plead guilty to mail fraud. He refused to speak with us. But if Louis did get caught, as we said, the fact is catching and prosecuting telephone scammers isn't easy.
If somebody opens a room and shuts it down after 3 months and moves to a new location, the odds are they are not going to get arrested.
And before we leave you, there's someone else we met in Las Vegas who stayed in our minds. Remember our bar hopping there? We met a man who told us his name was...
Jeff Cass. Nice to meet you. Hi.
Jeffrey Cass bragged about scamming an elderly woman. At the time, we didn't know who it was.
You got her for $82,000. I got her for about $60,000.
So that's Jeff Cass.
That's right. He's one of the many telemarketers who took more than $100,000 from Ardell Schrum before she decided to fight back.
I think I got pretty good at it.
She allowed the FBI to record all of her incoming phone calls, evidence that helped the FBI and their senior Sentinel sweep last December. More than 400 telemarketers were indicted.
You're going to your grave a loser. A big loser.
And as for the man you heard on tape, the FBI tells us they've identified a suspect and are investigating. So we'll leave you with some important tips.
You didn't ask to be called, and you don't want to buy anything, hang up the phone.
And if they keep calling, John, who now gives seminars to seniors, says
What I teach people in my workshops is when somebody calls to pitch you something, tell them something like, hang on a minute, there's someone at the door, set your phone down on the counter, and then 20 minutes later, hang up your phone. They'll take you off their calling list.
By the way, that telemarketer we met at a bar in Las Vegas, Jeffrey Cass, now tells us he was exaggerating the amount of money he took from Ardell Schrum and insists what he did was legal. But remember, when you answer the phone, the law is on your side. The law requires any telemarketers offering a prize to tell you that no purchase is necessary, and they're supposed to tell you your odds of winning.